It's good. It also sets up my favorite love story, which is J4 and Shyvana. All right,
J4 and Shyvana.
Just let it happen already, Riot. You cowards.
Welcome to Casuals of Runeterra, episode 32. I'm your host, Ryan, here with your other host, Hetch.
What is going on?
And we're back.
We did it. We made it back.
We're back.
We're never going to stop being excited by the fact that we're back.
I know, right? Because every episode is a blessing, Hetch. Every episode we get to do is great. We always look forward to these. But we always got to do the housekeeping up top. That's just how it works. So as always, you can listen to us anywhere. If you want to switch platforms for some reason, it should be there. If not, text my assistant and she'll get that message to me.
Hold up. Who does assistant? I need to speak with my agent. You get an assistant and I don't? This is ridiculous. I'll be in my trailer.
And you can follow us on Twitter to stay up to date on episodes. That's the easiest way. That's at Podcast Core. It's Podcast COR. And you can send an email to the same name at gmail.com. And then please leave a like, follow, short review, comment, and tell a friend to be forged in the dragon fire and listen to the Casuals of Runeterra podcast.
Oh, okay. I'm not even mad at that one. Yeah, that flowed well. Good. All right, now play the Game of Thrones theme.
Now play.
Alexa,
play Game of Thrones. State of the game. So I actually played. I played something different from Scarground. So I was going to play Scarground because I had some time this week where I was like, okay, it's time to grind. And Swim started a new deck, which was a Hecarim Lucian variant. And I've been looking for a Lucian deck for a while to play again because I love Lucian as a card and as a character. So I was like, all right, I'll watch it and I'll probably play it. Well, that stream ended and he never finished the deck. So the next time he started the deck up again. Fast forward to 4 separate Swim streams or Swim streams as they call them. And he finally finished the deck. And I was like, all right, I have to play this now. And it's been insane. It's Hecarim Lucian, focuses on ephemeral, and the concept, and it has like harrowing, right? But the concept is to essentially never have a board when you don't need one. So when you need to block, you create stuff. And when you're attacking, you create stuff. But in between those times, you don't have a board for them to interact with. And it is interesting. It is a very interesting situation.
I actually got to catch a couple of the streams.
It's a sick deck. And he's saying it's like mid-tier 2. But I feel like if you can run it, you can do some damage with it because it is very overpowering. And if your opponent doesn't interact with you, they're screwed.
Yeah, and of course, like you said, the 4 separate streams is the poor Swim has just been lost without his Gambas.
Yeah,
like he's having a lot of trouble without the Gambas.
Gotta have the Gamba. I just love how since you can't talk about gambling on Twitch because of TOS, that everyone's like, all right, we'll just call it Gamba. And I'm like, that's not even trying. Like,
who are you fooling?
Who's falling for this? But technically, Gamba's not against TOS. What do you believe?
I was super lazy this week, so I only played I played this morning as far as before this hopping in to do the recording, and per our episode, I went ahead and revived my Shyvana Soraka deck, and I've been playing around with that, except with Grand Plaza, because if I've learned anything from this last meta, is that any off deck can be made a main deck if you put Grand Plaza in it and go to town. So that's I had a lot of fun this morning with that, but otherwise I just kind of took it easy this week.
You were not wrong. Grand Plaza is a very strong card.
It's
Listen, challenge.
super
I mean,
good
it's
card.
funny because when you go back to our earlier episodes, which you should do if you haven't listened to them, we talked a lot about Challenger in like the Demacia portion of our coverage. So it's being able to control blockers in this game is a big deal. That's a huge deal. I mean, it was massive in Magic and other games as well when you had cards that allowed you to do so, to assign blockers.
Yeah, and when I was adding Grand Plaza in there, I definitely hovered over On Guard and just shed a single tear for it. Like, maybe one day it'll be a real spell again. Who knows?
Even though it's a 3-mana burst spell, it just doesn't meet the criteria to be so. They might as well just make it like 6 mana. No one's going to play it either way. So we'll hop into the main topic here. Mother of Dragons. Dun, 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 dun. We're talking about Shyvana. Finally. I mean, we're still not talking about Noxus, but finally, we're back at Demacia. We're back at Demacia, and we're talking about the Dragon Queen herself. And we're gonna get into her story in a bit, which is a good one. It helps us pick up from the Jarvan episode. So if you haven't listened to that, it doesn't exist.
You're out of control. This man's all over the place.
But we do talk about it in our other Demacia episodes, so check those ones out.
Mainly the Garen episode.
Yeah, mainly the Garen one. To talk about Prince Jarvan himself.
At least one of us remembers this. Goodness gracious.
I remember it. Come on, it's called comedy. I was doing comedy.
I don't believe you. I saw your face. I'm selling you out to the listeners.
But as always, we start off with our spell here. So we're going to start off with the Sharp Sight. So every spell we chose kind of leads into Shyvana's story. But Sharp Sight is a card that is actually playable and very good. So as far as the style of the card, it refers to like the Dragon Guard, which is a rank of the Demacian defense that's formed once Shyvana comes to town, and Hetch will tell you about that. But their dragon theme, their armor's dragon theme, and their focus is guarding the outer walls of Demacia and presenting forewarning when any threat is coming, right? And then, facing that threat head on before other forces come to join them. So for Sharp Sight's a two mana burst spell, which give an ally +2/+2, and I can block units with elusive this round. So it doesn't give the unit elusive, it just allows them to block elusive. So sort of like reach in Magic. But the main thing here is the quote as well, which is, any who would dare breach Demacia's walls will find a full company awaiting them, forewarned and heavily armed.
If that is not the most Demacian quote that you could ever think of, I don't know what to think of this lore anymore. Like we would just, the arguments would be done. But this one is just ridiculous because already like 2 mana for +2/+2 is something that you're looking for.
That's value.
And you get that with burst speed, which we've complained enough about. Go to our other episodes if you want to hear us complain about some good burst speed spells. Like we got you there. This is a staple already. Yeah.
So very highly playable. I played it in a couple decks already, and it's nuts because the flexibility is perfect. So you can pretty much splash it in anything if you're playing Demacia and know you're gonna get some kind of value out of it. But this takes us to our second related card, which is Dragon Guard Lookout, which is a card that is not played for good reason.
Oh, man.
So I picked it mainly because it has the same character that's depicted in Sharp Sight, which is Yesenia here, who's one of the guards. And in Dragon Lookout, she is the character, and it's a 6-cost 3/5 with when I'm summoned, if you behold a dragon, rally. So some issues with this card is just the stat line for the cost, right? Rally is a powerful ability. So if you could splash as like a one of, but you would never probably see this in multiples, just because it just costs too much. There's other ways to get rally effects more effectively in Runeterra. And then also the stipulation that you have to be able to behold a dragon, right? So
I would honestly think that this card would be playable if it was in Targon. and not Demacia.
I could see that.
Because in Targon, there's no rally effects,
Yeah,
but there are
yeah.
dragons.
That's a good
So
point. That's a good point.
this would be playable just because of the rally there.
Yeah.
But if we're talking rally, Demacia has all of the best rally tools.
Yeah.
Like, and most of the time, like you would be playing this in a very creature heavy deck too, because you would need the dragon for it to work. And if you're in a creature heavy deck, you need something to use spell mana on so that it's not just wasted. What's
Yeah.
a 3 mana spell that could help you rally? Can't think of it. Oh, wait. Relentless Pursuit.
He's not wrong, folks. But it is a cool concept card to kind of fit the theme of the batch of Shyvana cards that came out when she arrived. And also, you have a quote here, which is, "There in the distance, is that looks like it? How can you be sure?" I just love. I'm sorry. I just love how it's like dialogue in one quotation.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I've ever seen anything written like this. Anyways, there's no mistaking them. Cover your ears, this will be loud. And the quote is assigned to Andin and Yesenia. And I laugh because I've never seen a quote done for two people at once.
It might be like, because I know like some places like the quotation marks make sense, but
Yeah.
it is kind of goofy if you're
it is
looking at
very
like the wrong
goofy.
thing.
Just listen, Riot doing something else revolutionary. They're pushing the envelope, man.
Do we really need this many quotation marks? If we're gonna get rid of the Oxford comma, we can get rid of these quotes.
But let's hop straight into it then. Wrapping that up with Shyvana. Been waiting for this one.
Oh man, and might have brought it up a couple times just because of how excited I am. But so Shyvana is a character from League of Legends that very clearly, if you just pull up the regular champion page, is a lizard-looking woman because she is half dragon. And that means that there's a lot of lore implications coming just from her character, because this is the champion long before the Legends of Runeterra game existed that proved that dragons existed in Runeterra. And as far as her birth, like, it comes up, like, we got to go kind of deep into it because of the fact that dragons were not seen much since the fall of Shamira. Now, Shamira is the desert empire that is one of the empires that has fallen, that we bring up a lot in the show, as far as talking about a lot of like the spirits or the immortal beings in Runeterra, and seeing a lot of empires rise and fall. And we go to pretty much right at the end of the fall of Shamira to look at one of the strongest elemental dragons that roamed Runeterra, which is a dragon by the name of Eva. I'm committed to saying it in the kind of a Spanish spelling.
Yeah.
Riot, hit me up if I'm saying it wrong. But so
I usually go to if it's like I went immediately to Eva as well.
All right, cool. All right, so but Eva is the elemental dragon as far as being one of the most powerful brood mothers. So she has got her nest, her clutch of eggs. She is defending her eggs, is feasting upon would-be thieves of these eggs for who knows how long. And
it's like DoorDash.
So then there's a time where an unknown mage is able to steal one of these eggs from Eva and actually gets away. But while en route to Piltover to have this dragon egg researched and studied, the egg hatches, which this is a point in time where like dragons aren't nearly as common in Runeterra than what they used to be. They kind of went down the path of legend. So to be able to, one, find the egg, survive an actual dragon attack, and then it hatches is already crazy. But when the egg hatches, what comes out of it is a fully grown humanoid looking person.
Yeah.
So this mage decides, okay, there's something going on here. I'm going to take care of this newborn dragon because I don't fully understand what it is, but clearly it is still a newborn and needs to be taken care of. And from an early age, Shyvana is immediately exhibiting the magical powers that is her lifeblood. She's able to shapeshift at will, and she can shapeshift either into a dragon form, go into a fully humanoid thing, go into a halfling dragon, and this makes it difficult for her to fit in anywhere as far as in human society. So her and the mage that raises her, they kind of just stick to themselves while he's trying to study her to figure out more about dragons, but teach her what life is like in Runeterra for humans. But unbeknownst to them, there is a tie between Eva and Shyvana. So Eva raises the eggs that she has, they hatch, dragons return to Runeterra, and Eva goes, all right, y'all take care of yourselves, I'm going to go find your sister. And I love that in the lore, the way that it's spelled out is that Runeterra has wars going on. So it's this idea of just that overhead camera shot of like two armies clashing, and then it's like, what can stop these wars? A dragon flying overhead just makes all the armies go. 5-minute break.
5-minute break.
Run and hide. And so
it's like a natural disaster.
Yeah, like it really is like a natural disaster. Like you see a tornado, you get out of the way. If you see a tornado that turns out to be breathing fire, you get out of the way. But Eva goes on this warpath, obviously causing destruction across the land, until she does find Shyvana and kills the mage as far as while they're trying to escape.
Yeah.
So Shyvana buries this mage and decides to continue to go on the run.
Quick note, I love that she tries to escape with him through a forest, which is obviously the most flammable thing that you can find. But it is the forest, so like
I mean, Shyvana being a half dragon, maybe she's just like, can you turn my heated blanket on, mother? Yeah, so she does go into a forest, ends up burying her father, which does kind of show the human teachings actually taking place with Shyvana, and she just continues to stay on the run while she's being hunted by Eva. And this is a very interesting thing because there's not really a full understanding of why Eva is trying to kill Shyvana now. But Shyvana has no intentions of returning with Eva or being a full-fledged dragon. Mm-hmm. Now, while on the run, she stumbles across a fallen soldier, and in a moment of seeing the fallen soldier and remembering her father, her adoptive father, dying in her arms, basically, she has this emotion of, this is someone I can save. Mm-hmm. So she picks up the fallen soldier, rushes him to safety, and nurses him back to health. And it turns out that the fallen soldier is none other than Jarvan IV, Crown Prince of Demacia.
What?
And so Jarvan, after he gains enough strength to be able to move, guides her back to the garrison so that he can be reunited with his men. And a little bit of spoilers as far as with the Jarvan story is this is at a point of Jarvan's military career where he's kind of on the run being hunted by Noxians. Yeah. So they do form a bit of a bond, not only as Shyvana being his savior, but they're both being hunted and on the run. Mm-hmm. And when this garrison becomes attacked by Eva, who's still hunting Shyvana, Shyvana does try to just leave to save the people. And what she is saying is that the people, these Demacians, they really do look out for each other. Demacians take care of other Demacians. So it is a very comforting feeling that she's never felt amongst humans before. And she is only being able to get that effect because she saved their prince and their general. So when she tries to leave to save these people that take care of themselves, Jarvan's like, no, no, no. Like, you saved my life. The least I can do is stand with you as far as with your fight. And here's a weeb alert real quick. Because this is gonna, I'm gonna show a lot of my weeaboo colors here. All right, because now Jarvan says, the least I can do is stand with you. Like, we Demacians will stand with you. Yeah. This is one of those anime fights, like Goku versus final boss of a season.
Yeah.
All right. This is if for younger listeners who haven't watched Dragon Ball, this is like the My Hero Academia boss fight, like end of a season. Like Deku versus Overhaul kind of thing, where there's these fights going on and there's people trying to fight the big bad guy, and the big bad guy literally just kind of pushes him to the side, like with just without a care in the world, just effortless. It's like that, all right? And then Goku has to show up and save the day, all right? And in this case, Shyvana turns into a full-fledged dragon, and it's Dragon v. Dragon Clash in the Sky.
Cue the butt rock.
Cue the butt rock. Like, no, not just the butt rock.
Crux
This is
40.
No, you play the opening theme, and it's that final episode of the season. So the opening didn't even happen.
The full opener plays.
The full opener song plays during the fight.
Yeah, credits roll on like the side in a corner.
Yeah, that is what the Shyvana versus Eva showdown is like. All right, so Jarvan. Again, a spoiler for the Jarvan story. Jarvan doesn't help. All right, like he helps the Demacians. He's there, quote unquote. He's Vegeta.
One note as well is all this is taking place at Renwall, which is an outpost for the Demacian city. So like it's not like the whole city is witnessing her doing this stuff, which is important later on.
Yes, so the fight ends with Shyvana ripping off Eva's head, and
as you do,
and Jarvan's like, all right, return to Demacia with me. So they return with a dragon head as proof of their conquest, which does help solidify Jarvan's place. But for Shyvana, what she doesn't know is that this is the only way that she was actually accepted by Demacians.
Yeah.
Is that she's returning with the crown prince alive and having killed a dragon. But otherwise, she's clearly a not humanoid and a being possessing strong elemental magics, and in a nation that built themselves in a forest where magic doesn't even work.
Yep.
And this kind of sets the stage as far as for Shyvana really kind of trying to figure out this balance between her sense of kinship and duty to Jarvan, as well as survival amongst the people of Demacia. But this is also the forming of the Renwall Guard.
Yes.
And so the Renwall Guard is going to be the unit, kind of like the Dauntless Vanguard that Garen is in charge of. The Renwall Guard they are the guys that are there. Like, you call them when dragons show up. All right. And it's like that kind of sets the stage as far as like what we know for a lot of the Demacian ranks now. Now we've really kind of touched on all of them: the Sentinels, the Crown, the Dauntless Vanguard, the Renwall Guard, and the Mage Seekers. Like that, we now have like the full complete of like the battling political armies of Demacia,
which would be great for an MMO. Wink, wink. Nod, nod.
Riot, hit us up if you need any help with this. We can piece the pieces together for you.
Shyvana's story is great, and there's a reason we've been waiting so long for her to come out so we could tell it. Because, like you mentioned, even that small tidbit about how Demacian culture treats wizardry and mages, and her father is technically a mage, right? So she grew up around a mage. And it's like, that's going to be something that's going to affect, social interactions as she's living as a humanoid in this city.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's good.
it's
And
good.
the card's good too.
It also sets up my favorite love story, which is
Yeah.
J4 and Shyvana. All right,
J4 and Shyvana.
just let it happen already, Riot. You cowards!
You cowards! We need more dragons, more half dragons, half dragon princes. So the card is also good, right? Like it's
so the
it's
card
pretty solid.
Again, I've been playing with this a lot recently.
Yeah.
I love this card. It's a lot of fun. So Shyvana is going to be a 4-mana 4/4. So kind of base stat lines that you're looking for, and she has attack. Give me +1/+1 this round. So she's a 4/4 as far as if you don't have the attack token. Whenever you're swinging, she becomes a 5/5. And if you've got multiple attacks in a turn, like it can keep ramping up.
Yep.
And her level up condition is I've seen dragon allies deal 12 plus damage. And as far as with the flip, she becomes a 5/5 with fury. So kind of basic as far as for the dragons. But after the flip, the attack is that now give me +2/+2 and create a fleeting copy of Strafing Strike in hand. We didn't talk about it yet in the episode, but this Strafing Strike is a 3-mana fast spell with target ally and then target enemy strike each other. Then if the ally is a dragon, heal it for 2. Again, I've talked about it a lot as far as when we talk about the decks that we're playing around with. I love flipped Shyvana, playing that with Soraka, because it is just a much more aggressive style of being able to level up Soraka, but like being able just to create strike spells, an extra mana single combat, every attack token is satisfying.
Interacting spells to be able to create them like that are usable is priceless, right?
Yeah, it's super, super good. And the fact that Shyvana also has Fury too, like it's like she can quickly become a threat as far as when she's become flipped. I do think that she doesn't get to see a lot of play just because she doesn't have a lot of strong ways as far as ending the game by herself.
Yeah.
But if a Shyvana gets to stick, like that is something that it can be really dangerous the longer the game goes on.
Yeah, and there's some quotes here on this card. I'm not going to read through them; they're fairly long, but they depict from the viewpoint of Lieutenant Jarek, who is acting on Renwall, where he talks about his building relation with her, seeing her in action, understanding her as a person. But one thing he states is his fear of her ever turning on them, right? Like if she decides she's no longer down with the Demacian plan, then it's going to cause a lot of problems. And with what Hetch mentioned, where you do have these undertones of, mage oppression, the viewpoint of dragons in general, the viewpoints of magic, and then humanoids like that aren't what they expect. It all stacks up to could lead to a storyline element where this does become an interesting play here, right? So Riot's put themselves in a great place with Shyvana, and she does have a story that we'll reference at some point, but it does give you enough to play with. So if they mess up, like put it this way, if they do a bad job of any arc involving Shyvana, it is their fault. All the tools are there. If they can't build the house, then that's on them.
I'm so glad I a little bit behind the curtain here. I'm glad I was muted because the laugh that escaped me when it's like, if they mess up, like you just took the words from my mouth of like, okay, do not mess up Shyvana's story here. All right. Because it's already great. All right. You can,
it's good.
Like, and the foundation is so strong. You can build this tower as high as you want. All right. So just build the stupid tower already. Let's get this done.
So with that, that always takes us into our question of the day for Hetch here, which this one's straightforward. We've talked about dragons in the past. in one of our challenge / question sections. But one thing we didn't talk about is I never asked Hetch what is his favorite type of dragon. So when I say favorite type of dragon, I mean elementally, right? Like you have wind dragons, earth dragons, water dragons, fire dragons, and then you have like dark dragons, light dragons, undead dragons, etc. Which one do you like the most in your stories? And I go first as always, and mine is surprising. I thought about this as I was figuring out the question, and I like the undead style of dragons a lot because it's like an extra layer of shock and awe, because obviously it's a dragon, so that's already a big deal. And then you throw on the fact that it's an undead dragon that has things like, poison abilities and blight abilities, and to have something that's dangerous, but then just being anywhere in the vicinity of it is even more dangerous. It's just like it has that natural disaster, overpowering element that it appeals to me, right?
All right, and so first, I just want to say it would never be an undead dragon. I already have like too many nightmares as far as just from video games. Or most recently, it'd be Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Having
to farm. Oh man, I don't remember the name of that dragon, but it was one of the elder dragons. I had to farm him so much for my armor.
Yeah.
The flashbacks, bad, ugly flashbacks. How dare you do this to me? But all right, let's go ahead and pop our collar, put on our pocket protector, all right, because we're going full nerd here, all right, because see, you're talking about like elements and stuff.
Yeah.
So I probably would be just more straightforward fire dragon as far as if we wanted
Red
to
dragon,
talk just strictly about like the elements here. But if we're speaking like in Dungeons and Dragons terms, then I'd probably be more along the lines of like a copper dragon. Like they're very very talkative. Like they talk
they're
so
intellectuals.
much. Yeah, they're intellectuals. They find a lot of interest in the way that humans interact with each other. So copper dragons tend to be annoying to humans because of how much they talk. And I talk a lot already, but what if we're not talking D&D dragons? Maybe we're talking like Harry Potter dragons, which I'm not going for like the Longhorn or anything like that. We're talking to Harry Potter dragons. I'm looking at like the Peruvian viper tooth, all right?
Yeah.
The smallest of the dragons, but they were exterminated by the wizards because of how many humans they were killing. All right, like I need to know more about these dragons.
I need more information.
Like, because the dragons in Harry Potter are already just like freaking cool and terrifying, and then it's like, oh, this is the smallest one, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't care about that one. It's exterminated because it was hunting humans. Well, go back. Hang on. All right. Yeah. So you got to be more specific when we're talking like favorite dragon here.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good answer, because it goes back into what we've been saying, is that dragons are cool on the surface. Like no matter what story,
so cool.
Yeah, no matter what storyline you put them in, dragons are a cool concept that open up so many story paths for the creators. So I remember when they announced the dragon package coming out for Runeterra, and we were hesitant because dragon sets tend to ruin games for a little bit. It's historically a bad set, even though everybody loves the cards because they're dragons. But they didn't break the game. They saw a moderate amount of play, and story-wise, they introduced the element into Runeterra. So yeah, dragons are cool, man. And like you're preaching to the choir here too, though. Was like we're not gonna, like, Hetch and I, come on. If you're listening to episode 32, you already get it.
We have a problem.
We have a problem. But with that, we'll bring this one to a close here. So as always, thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with the next episode.
Take care, everybody.